What's next? Our man Kevin Negandhi. Kevin, good morning. How you doing, man?
Good morning, Junius. Good morning, John. How we doing, guys?
We are doing fantastic. We have a bunch of topics on the docket today that we can't wait to get to with you today. First and foremost, we are celebrating the major sacrifice that was made by one of the members of the Sixers. And no, not the report that Joel Embiid might have his hip realigned. I'm talking about podcast playoff P.
Play-in Paul is what I'm calling him right now. Till they get in the play-in tournament.
I mean, how much do you celebrate the major sacrifice that he's making?
Listen, if that produces 25 points, I know it's a loss, but we'll take it. Listen, John just said play-in. No. Get a top 6 pick.
Oh, I know. That's what I want, too.
Oh, so should it be tanking P? Is that what we're going to call it?
I thought he was doing that already.
Yeah.
Process P, as Connor Thomas says.
It's all I care about is making sure Tyrese Maxey is good to go, and this team can in a draft that I think has a ton of talent that can lock in a top 6 pick. That to me is now the priority for this. That I would make as a priority for the Sixers, and then you got to reevaluate what you want to do with Paul George and his future in Philadelphia.
I said this to John earlier. God forbid, worst case scenario, they don't make the playoffs, but the lottery balls don't go their way. Would this be a historically bad season? I'm not even saying for the Sixers. I'm saying for any team in any sport that had legitimate playoff expectations, potential championship expectations, not that many believed it here, and then you don't even get a pick out of it because it's top 6 after the 6 spots, it's no longer protected.
I think it would be one of the most disappointing seasons in Sixers history with the expectations coming in and the hope and the belief of where this team was and where they could be. It's hard to say it's one of the most disappointing seasons in, bigger terms outside of Sixers basketball because, guys, I think sometimes people forget. Look at where the Suns are right now, and from a national perspective, because it's what I do every day, the Suns are a bigger disappointment than the Sixers. They legit had a big 3, and they are awful.
Yeah, they're under 500.
And you can't make the excuse that they're not healthy because the Sixers have that excuse. The star player, Joel Embiid, has not been healthy all season. Paul George has not been healthy most of the season. So when you look at the Suns are awful, and they have healthy players and healthy stars, and they still can't win. And they are in some serious trouble when you look at their cap and their situation with draft picks and what they mortgaged for the future to win now. And for them not to be even in the Western Conference conversation, it says a lot about the disappointment. I think that team is the most disappointing team in recent memory.
Kevin, has Nick Nurse disappointed you at all?
I don't know. When they brought in Nick, the one thing I thought was they would play hard. They would play for the coach.
That's what I thought.
It's Nick. One thing I see sometimes from Nick is so much frustration boiling over, and I don't know if Nick would have taken the job if he knew that he would have Joel not play the majority of the games and deal with all these injuries. So it's hard for me to judge Nick Nurse. It really is, just because he hasn't had a complete team. And sometimes it's hard to judge a coach with the availability not being there when you come in and you come with this impression that you're going to have guys that are going to all play together. So to me, it's hard to give out a grade. You can give them a grade of, hey, we shall see, or if you want to give them a C, but I don't know if you can give them anything above a C because you just don't know. I don't think you can give them below a C because the unknown it's kind of an incomplete because we don't have everybody.
Yeah, and I still think, and you're listening to 97.5 The Fanatic, WPN, WPN HD1, Burlington, Philadelphia, Beasley Media Group Station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. I still think it is horrible that they are making Nick Nurse have to answer every question. I'm looking for Daryl Morey to address the media. I know he did.
If you find him, would you please send him our way?
I know he did recently, obviously after the trade deadline, but this is very reminiscent, and I know expectations-wise totally different, but Kevin, this is reminiscent to the early years of the process when Brett Brown had to be the one to face the media every single night about Embiid and not knowing what the plan was when Sam Hinkie was hiding. And I got to be honest, like, I feel somewhat bad for Nick Nurse because he has to answer all these questions. Where's Daryl at?
I do feel bad for Nick. I also think that Nick has to answer it because after every game you have to be available.
Of course,
right.
To me, this feels like if Daryl. Here's one thing I will say about Daryl. Daryl's not shy. If Daryl has something to say, Daryl will say it. If you look at his history, he will face the music if he has to.
He's been shy I got to tell you, he's been shy with us, Kevin, here in this market. He's been shy.
I mean, he addressed what was it 2 weeks ago, and they haven't won a game.
Well, that was the trade deadline, so that was more mandatory.
We would look forward to talking to him all the time, and it's been very uncooperative.
It is a league that is dominated by players, right, and players' decisions. This leads me to believe that there are some things that they don't have answers to, and they have to wait on decisions made by players on what the future is going to be like. And if you don't have those answers, you're put in a position of what are you going to say?
Well, the thing is, though, you know what you can answer, Kev? You can answer why in the hell would you give a 3-year max extension to Joel Embiid when you didn't have to, knowing what he was facing? That's a question you can answer.
That is a question you can answer, absolutely. And guess what? At the end of the season, I'm sure he's going to face that music. What was the thinking and the process behind handing out a contract when you didn't have to? But we also know, if that was hanging over the head with us unaware of the injuries, we also know that I think there was going to be a contingency saying, you got to make sure you secure Joel Embiid because the rumors are going to be always swirling that he wants out, he wants out, he wants out. So there's always that other side of, hey, the unknown. Why are you not securing him? It's going to be in trade rumors. The NBA thrives on the idea of rumors, right? And, what's the next thing? So if the Sixers, there's another little layer to this, is the unknown of where the health status was this summer or this past summer, going into the Olympics, coming to out of the Olympics, because clearly the knee wasn't right, because he sat during some time at the Olympics. And why allow it? Why was that the case? And, protecting the franchise is a lot bigger than playing the Olympics.
Kevin, do you make anything of the NFL Players Association polling, obviously, that comes out during training camp? So this was
the votes came in training camp.
Months before the Eagles won 10 straight games and months before the Eagles ran through the playoffs and won the Super Bowl. But when it comes to all the voting, all the between facilities, ownership, coaching, how much do you buy into it?
I think it's actually great. Like the idea that we found out that the Patriots charter plane has ashtrays in it, no Wi-Fi. Like, what are we doing? Like that blew me away. The most revealing, two of the most revealing parts of it was, the Bengals getting an F-. I think their owner is the worst owner in all of sports. We've heard Joe Burrow talk about trying to keep their players. I think that owner is awful. And I think more and more players speaking out about it, like, and drawing attention to it, it circles a big target on what the Bengals are going to do this offseason and making sure that they have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Trey Hendrickson. I also find it fascinating that the Dolphins get A+ across the board. Easy to do when you're in Miami, but it doesn't produce any results there. And
well, they got rid of the defensive coordinator that was too hard on them. So of course they loved it,
Street, right?
But Kevin, I know you've seen the Georgia locker room. I know you've seen the facilities at Alabama and everything like that. When these guys get to the NFL, they're expecting better or comparable. They don't have comparable in the NFL when you're coming out of these SEC schools, at least.
That's a great point. And you could throw in Clemson and Ohio State.
Yeah, Clemson has the sliding. Right? Have you done the sliding board? I've done the sliding board at Clemson.
I've seen it. Marty Smith has told me about it many times.
Yeah, I got to do the sliding board.
Yeah, so that's actually a great point. And that when you're recruiting in the SEC and you're bringing these players from the SEC, which Howie has done, and he's nailed many of those picks in the first 3 rounds of bringing some SEC talent over the last 4 years, you've got to make sure you're upgraded, right?
Yes.
What can you control, though? There's a couple things you can control. How about family treatment, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
And I saw the Bengals got an F-. The Jets ownership getting an F. The difference in the Washington Commanders, and we all know who owns the Commanders and how that's tied to Philadelphia when we talk about our basketball team. They've never been shy in spending money with the Sixers. Now we're seeing that they're not going to be shy in spending money with the Commanders.
Yeah.
I found all those things. I like that stuff. I think that stuff is fascinating because it gives the players a voice, right?
Sure.
And you learn a thing or two about how they handle stuff and how they approach things and things you can control. You can control. Listen, if you have a charter plane, you can rip the seats out and install better seats
and have Wi-Fi. How do you not have Wi-Fi?
The 1970s at Pan Am, right?
Yes.
So I find that interesting.
Andrew doesn't know what Pan Am is, but it's all right.
That's true.
It's all right.
You don't know Pan Am, you don't know Eastern, you don't know TWA, you don't know the old
Value Jet. You don't know
I knew Value Jet.
You know
I know Valley Jet. This is courtesy of my father. Yeah, I know that one. So don't you worry, Kevin. Listen, man, we appreciate the time as always, brother. And wait, first of all, I know I texted you. How did the event go the other night?
It was fantastic. Great to be back on campus at Temple University and see so many great and familiar faces and be inside the Leah Corrs Center with my man Woj, raise money for our collectives at St. Bonaventure and the Tough Fund at Temple. And how about a win last night? A buzzer beater. Shout out to Zion and Temple Hoops to get that win. They
Kevin,
needed it.
A name to remember. Ray Dunn.
Ray's the play-by-play guy on the call. Our own Ray Dunn from the Fanatic. Maybe that could make the 6 o'clock Sports Center tonight.
He was the guy on the call that ESPN tweeted out. A lot of people tweeted it out. So, and another owl, Kevin.
I will push for that. And I want to add one small thing. You guys being Temple alums.
Sure.
As well as a Temple audience here. A small little thing that stood out to me, and I said it multiple times Tuesday night. I said it to the team afterwards. That basketball team was in a 6-game losing streak, dealt with a lot of injuries, heartbreak losses in overtime. I've been in many locker rooms where there have been World Series champs, Super Bowl champs, Stanley Cup champs, NBA champs. I've been with teams that have winning streaks, losing streaks. You could be around a team that likes each other and hates each other, and you can notice those small things. For a team that had lost 6 straight, their practice on Tuesday was fantastic, and my messaging to them was, you're going to figure out a way, because you could genuinely notice that there's a culture here built by Adam Fisher in year 2, and to see that team respond without 4 players, including Jamal Mashburn Jr., and to see how they played last night with heart, that makes me proud to be a Temple alum. That was a great win last night.
Damn right,
Great job,
Kevin.
Kev.
We appreciate it, brother. Good luck with everything else moving forward. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you so much for checking out our content on the 97.5 The Fanatic YouTube channel. Hope you enjoyed the video. And remember, you can always be checking the playlist. There may be something you missed from one of our shows during the day that you want to go back and check out. So every time you like a video, like it, subscribe to the channel, and you'll have that great content coming to you every single day. You're greatly appreciated.